Yo!
Yo!
What's up? Were you like me super excited when watching Ignite and seeing this new shiny thing being released, Fabric IQ? But you're also confused just like me because I'm not sure I understand what it was. So today I brought with me my really good friend Devang Shah.
Hey, Martha, how are you?
I'm good and I'm excited that you're here because you are a Fabric IQ expert. We need some help understanding this. So what is Fabric IQ?
So, we have been working with data for a long time, and data by itself does not mean a lot unless you apply some context, unless you apply some meaning. And that meaning is what you, as users, human users, use it in terms of reports, in terms of visualizations, to understand what you can do with data. Now, this meaning and this context, etc., is also relevant in the era of AI where we are in right now, also for the AI agents, because, as humans, we have our experience, we have our knowledge, we've been doing these things for a while. So sometimes you look at the data and we understand, like, yeah, this is what the number means. But agents by themselves may not understand that because they don't have that acquired experience. So ontology is a way to apply context, meaning to the data that we all have, and that is there all around us in our enterprise world, in our data platforms, to make it understandable for human agents, so people like us, but also for AI agents. So it's kind of a shared context layer in Fabric that can be used by AI and humans both so that we can all progress.
Okay, that's interesting. But you know what? I think I need to see it to really understand it. So you know what we like to do at Guy in a Cube? Enough of all this talking. Let's just head over to Devang's laptop.
All right, let's do it. Hey, here I am. I have created a little retail ontology. So we're going to start with what I have. So when we think about an ontology in Fabric, there are three important concepts. So one is entity types. These entity types are some common concepts like, warehouse, store, returns, region, products, something that we see in a typical retail scenario all the time. So for example, here I have a warehouse, shipments depart from warehouses, shipments are created for particular orders, right? So shipments actually fulfill orders that our customers are placing, and we want to send those shipments to those customers. Shipments are also delivered to region. And if you go to region, then region would have multiple other relationships. Region would also be connected to the customer because customers are located in region. So this is kind of a representation of an ontology, which consists of entity types, which explain what those concepts are and how do you model them. And then all of these entity types are connected to other entity types via relationships. And these relationships also have meanings. Shipment delivered to region, promotion in region, demand in region. This is important if anyone is trying to understand what is happening in this retail store or in this retail company. And if there is all this description and meaning available on the entity as well as on the relationship, then human agents or AI agents can also start to reason over this data much better compared to just having two tables, established joint relationships, but not having a lot of meaning attached to it, right? So we know that AI agents and LLMs tend to hallucinate if they are not given enough context. But now imagine if you can build all of this context closer to your data, you can empower those agents to go reason better. So what do I mean by closer to the data? So here I have created my entity types. Now these entity types also can have properties and must have properties. So if I look at the region has number of different properties like country code, region name, time zone. But if you, for example, click on the order entity type, it has more data. So it can have order ID, order status, payment method. So these are all the different properties that you can assign or that are relevant for this particular entity type. Now, where do these properties come from? You see, there are these Lakehouse icons here. So you actually bind your ontology to an underlying data table or data store in Fabric. So here I have bound this particular order entity type to a Lakehouse table. You can do some static bindings in case some properties are static in nature, which are not changing with time. But you may also have some entity types which actually might change with time. So here I have another entity type called a shipment. And shipment, as you can see, has some other properties which are bound to a different data store. In this case, it is bound to shipments, which is an event house. Now, in this event house, I also have location data, because shipments move from point A to point B. So you also have that live data. So what ontology allows you to do is once you've built it out, you can bind it to a Lakehouse table to get all the static properties and important attributes. But you can also bind it to live data, real-time data, because live context is also important when you want to start asking questions, when you want to understand what's happening with your shipments. If the shipments are getting late, which customers are going to be impacted in case the shipments are going to get late so that you can notify those customers on time. Think think of all those cool questions that you want to answer where multiple different entities come together and you can reason over it and get answers quickly. This is what ontology allows you to do in a very meaningful way.
And I guess most people already have a lot of data inside of Fabric that should have these relationships and contexts already set up between them. And that's what ontology will help us with, right?
Indeed. So if you have your Fabric and if you have your one lake, you must be having some Lakehouse tables. You must be having some Eventhouse tables in case you are doing some real-time stuff. And if you have some domain concepts, for example, if you're in the marketing domain, if you're in the sales domain, if you're in the retail, think about what are those 4, 5, 7 different concepts that you want to model. Start adding entity types, start building your relationships, give it some really descriptive meanings. If you want those LLMs to not hallucinate, assign all the properties, give some really good property names, map it to the tables. And once your ontology is ready to go, you can actually go to entity type overview, which will give you a little bit of a perspective of what's there in your entity. So for example, I have about 1600 instances of shipments. I can see the underlying knowledge graphs, and it will also build out all of this quick overview of, what was the in-transit temperature. For example, if you're sending some goods which have to be in a frozen container or in freezers, then you can also see what was the temperature, what was the humidity percentage, what was the latitude, longitude. So you have some quick overview of your ontology. And if you want to go into the details, you also have this individual shipment ID. So you also have a quick overview of what shipments are in transit, what shipments are delivered. And then if you want to start filtering it out, you can choose a particular instance, and then you will have that data for that particular shipment as well. So this is how easy it is to build an ontology, get a quick overview of an ontology, and then you can start consuming ontology, which are multiple different ways in Fabric.
Okay, that was really impressive. Thank you for showing us, Devang. But why should I start caring about Fabric IQ and start using ontology?
I would say, Martha, there are 3 main reasons. Number one, as I said, we all have a lot of data. All of this data may be used as semantic models, may be used as different kind of facts and dimension joins and all the kind of reports that you might be doing. But representing that as knowledge graph has advantages, and representing that as an ontology has an advantage because reasoning becomes easier. Number 2, we are giving a lot of prompt instructions when we are training agents. And a lot of these prompt instructions is also that context that you are giving each agent so that they also understand how to work with data. You have an opportunity to bring this context closer to the data so that any agent which is connecting to this data via ontology can benefit from the same context. So, hey, you have reusable context. You don't have to go and train every agent individually in terms of prompts and etc. And number 3, ontology also allows you to combine all of your transactional data, analytical data, real-time data, unstructured data, and make LLMs as well as agents and us smarter and better so that we can help our organizations make better decisions.
I learned so much from you today, Devang. Thank you. If you guys also want to know more, maybe we should invite Devang back to really deep dive into ontology. Maybe he can show us how to set it up. Let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to GuineCube and check out the other awesome videos that might be flowing above my head from Adam, Patrick, and this gal right here. We're excited to see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.